Thank you so much, and welcome to Space Center Houston. I'm thrilled to have you join us for our Thought Leader Series program, Space for Art, presented by the University of Texas Medical Branch. Our Thought Leader Series brings space and science experts together at Space Center Houston to provide insights and perspectives on space exploration and human spaceflight. We serve as the official visitor center for NASA Johnson Space Center, focused on sharing the story of human spaceflight and space exploration with more than 1.3 million visitors every year. As a nonprofit organization, we house more than 400 space artifacts, offer NASA Johnson Space Center tours, and STEM learning programs throughout our educational facilities. We believe science learning and space exploration is for everyone, and we celebrate 30 years as a premier global destination, bringing people and space closer together. Today, our expert panelists join us from the Space for Art Foundation, a global organization uniting a community of children to create a future that transcends their current challenges into a positive one through space and art. The Space for Art Foundation is on a mission of space, art, and healing. You'll notice behind me as I share my remarks that there is a QR code. We are going to have some time after our panelists speak for you to ask your questions, and I actually have a tablet next to me where I'll be able to pull up those questions. Often we get lots of questions, so I do my best to get through as many as possible. So if you do have your mobile device and it's on silent, please take it out now and take a scan of the QR code if you are thinking about asking a question. You can submit those at any time. Although our University of Texas Medical Branch representatives were unable to join us for tonight's Thought Leader Series program, I want to express our sincere gratitude for their ongoing support and collaboration. At Space Center Houston, we're proud to partner with UTMB in presenting these impactful discussions each month, which explore critical topics in space and feature leading experts from around the world. Their commitment is instrumental to the success of our series and we greatly value their contributions. Thank you, UTMB, for your unwavering partnership and dedication. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Michael Potter, who is an entrepreneur, social enterprise advisor, and documentary filmmaker and producer of the Space for Art film. Michael is the founder of the nonprofit organization Geeks Without Frontiers, promoting technology for a better world. He's a senior fellow at the International Institute of Space Commerce and a member of the advisory board of the Lifeboat Foundation. Michael is also the founder of the Kalpana Chawla Scholarship for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Space, and the Ilan Ramon Project for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Space, and served as co-chair of the entrepreneurship faculty of the inaugural class of Singularity University. He's a multi-award-winning documentary filmmaker whose films focus on solutions to humanity's greatest challenges. Please join me in welcoming Michael. Welcome.
Well, thanks so much for those kind words. So I've been given 2 minutes just to say a few brief thoughts. And, the first thing is that the first documentary film that I did was a full-length documentary film on turning the Russian Mir space station into a private platform for either hotel space or a scientific platform. And it was interesting because this film that we're about to show tonight, it's a multi-award-winning film. It won the Toronto Film Festival for the best documentary short, and I was being interviewed during a podcast, and they said, it's so interesting, this thing is about art, it's about inspiration, it's about healing, and they said, have you ever done another film about art? And I had to think about it for a moment, and the film I had done last year, which also did very, very well in the film festival, was a film about these Holocaust memorial stones, these stumbling stones. And it was a very short film, and it was really more of a poetic film, which is really about the subject of remembrance. And Nicole had seen an early version of that film, and every year NASA in January has a memorial event for all astronauts who have died in the final exploration of the final frontier. And, I think Nicole tried to really tie together this poetic importance of remembrance to some of the astronauts that were also lost. But that was a film about art, and I had never really thought about it. And then, of course, this film is about art. And I think one of the most important things for people in the field of space and for all space agencies around the world is really trying to find out how we can insert humanity, how we can insert the human spirit, how we can insert love for our fellow humans into space. And it's such a hard thing to do. We want the processes get so institutionalized that sometimes we lose track of it. So if nothing else, I hope that this film inspires you to think about the small things that we can do, particularly with some of these kids who are going through very, very difficult times and their families that go through these very difficult times, which is how do we humanize it? How do we use space as a way to inspire ourselves to be better, to challenge ourselves to be better humans, for humanity to become a better place, for Earth to become a better place. So I just want to thank Nicole for the opportunity to tell this story. I think that the whole Space for Art team is here. We are so grateful, and it's one of these things that is so heartfelt. On the very first film I ever did, I was interviewed, and I said, look, I'm just the reluctant producer, the reluctant director. I was not reluctant. This was an amazing calling, and I'm so grateful. So thank you, and I hope you really enjoy the film. Thank you.
Yeah, I think as an astronaut, you try your best to, convince yourself that you know what you're going to feel, what you're going to see when you look out the windows of your spaceship back at Earth. And yet, even with the highest expectations, I don't think you really can prepare yourself. You get to space, and first of all, when you do float up to that window, it's like this disbelief that you're even there. I saw Earth. It was beautiful. It was glowing. It was all the colors that you know Earth to be. But everything about that view reminds you that everything is interconnected and that we need to remember that we live on a planet, that we're all Earthlings, that the only border that matters is that veil thin blue line of atmosphere that blankets and protects us all. And that absolutely our most important role as human beings is to behave like crewmates and not passengers on Spaceship Earth. My name's Nicole Stott. I'm a retired NASA astronaut, aquanaut, now author, and most importantly, mom, and the co-founder of an organization called the Space for Art Foundation. It's really nice now when we fly in space. Most of our missions now are to the International Space Station, where we know we're going to spend months at a time in that really special place. So most of us try in one way or another to bring something that we love to do here on Earth with us to space, because we know we're not just going to be working there, we're going to be living there too for an extended period of time. And so the thing I brought was a little watercolor kit. I enjoy painting here on Earth. I wanted to do art in space. I'm very thankful to my friend Mary Jane Anderson, and she's the one who reminded me of that. She's like, man, Nicole, you're there for months at a time. You're not just working. You might want to think about what you'll do in your free time. And so that was painting. So when I retired from NASA, knowing that I needed to find a way to uniquely even share the spaceflight experience with anyone that I could encounter, and communicating to them this oneness, this interconnectivity of everything that is happening with us here on the planet, art just seemed like the way to do that. But then some friends of mine, one in particular, Gordon Andrews at the Johnson Space Center, works with the International Space Station Communications Program. He invited me over one day to introduce me to a gentleman named Ian Sion. Ian had always done these projects with the kids where each child would create their own individual piece of art, And then Ian would put it together into some really large scale, what he called community art project. And that was everything from a, like 20-foot long dragon. Every scale on the dragon was a kid's piece of art, to ginormous murals on the sides of the hospital, or wrapping buses with the kids' art.
A woman came up to me and said, hey, I saw the dragon that you did at MD Anderson. And I said, oh, that's great. And what do you do? And she told me that she worked at NASA. And I said, oh, that's great. I always wanted to do a collaboration with NASA, like just blurted it out.
We started working with the kids first at MD Anderson. That has grown to working with kids on our latest suit Beyond, where we have artwork from at least one child in every country on the planet.
Take those astronauts to their children's hospitals and sit them with the kids. What does this intersection mean?
Working on these projects, we decided we needed to form an organization, and we called that the Space for Art Foundation. We believe that our mission is to unite a planetary community of children through the awe and wonder of space exploration and the healing power of art. And we feel like, we feel very fortunate to be part of these projects. We're in this really cool place here today called ILC Dover, which is the spacesuit company, has been making our real spacesuits since we had those first steps on the moon. And they have been with us every step of the way, just volunteering to quilt together these kids' artwork into these incredible art spacesuits.
I got a phone call one day from one of the NASA managers on the spacesuit side, and he said, Dave, we got this request. It just sort of sounds crazy, but this artist guy wants to talk about spacesuits and arts and the intersection of that, and got on the phone with Ian and was still a little confused on what are we doing here, but he was able to explain what he did for a business in arts in medicine, and something I didn't really even understand existed at the time. So we talked through it, and as soon as he told me it was for pediatric cancer kids, so what do you think, Dave? Absolutely.
My name is Gary Chilson. I work for ILC Dover. I've been with ILC Dover for 27 years. And I was introduced to the spacesuit by Nicole and Ian and Dave. So what I do is they will send me patterns. Kids get all together, they paint these beautiful artwork pieces, and they come in different sizes, pieces and that, and I'll take patterns, cut them out, and sew them together to make a spacesuit. I think the kids get, for the most part, a great kick because it's a spacesuit. And who doesn't like a spacesuit?
Because of this one kind of like fork in all of our roads where we met, we've had the chance to do a bunch of different spacesuits and send some of them up. We made Hope. We worked on that one with exclusively patients who were in treatment at MD Anderson.
And we've been very fortunate to have a couple of those suits fly to and from the International Space Station.
At some point in this process, it was like, well, we might be able to get a flight suit up. Like, let's see. So here's the website, go order a flight suit. And I did. I would take it room to room. This one was like, I do an outline on the suit. I kind of drew a pattern in Sharpie, and I told the kids, like, you can either stick in the pattern or not. I just want something there so people aren't intimidated. Kate Rubens came to the hospital and worked with us. Kate's a cancer biologist. And then we were able to get that suit up, and we were able to fly it up on SpaceX, I think it was SpaceX 9, Falcon 9 we flew it up on, and that was also just incredible. That they were like, yeah, we'll do it.
As you guys were painting, you were thinking about space and you were thinking about orbiting the planet, and I can tell you that your spacesuit has found a wonderful home up here on the International Space Station.
The next one was Unity, and this was again a pivotal moment for Gordo. At one point we're sitting in the SUV and he goes, you guys gotta make one with all the partnering space agencies, you gotta make one with all around the world, you gotta just do it.
I'm going to meet Ian in Dulles Airport. As I'm walking, I'm looking at this gorgeous compilation of kids' artwork, little windows of art that just was so reminiscent to me of the art spacesuits we'd already done. And I trip off this thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, who did this? Where's this from? I'm taking pictures of it. There was no name on it other than it was Project Postcard. And with the wonders of social media, you can track people down these days.
After a couple of years, I guess the second year of the installation being there, I get all of a sudden an Instagram message somebody tagged me in my Instagram. I look at this tag and it said Astro Nicole, and then I see an astronaut, and I'm thinking, an astronaut likes my artwork. No. She sent me a picture of this astronaut in the screen of the ISS, this TV looking at space, and she said underneath the picture she put postcards to space. And then that was the beginning of our Postcards to Space project. I had my schools that I had the kids doing the artwork, and she had her hospitals, and we joined forces. It started rolling.
It's just so cool to me to think about not just the kids' art in space, but these partnerships that we've developed along the way with people all over the world who have this same kind of motivation for, inspiring these kids in some way, for allowing them to understand that they're not alone in what they're going through, to see kids all over the world, sadly in some ways are dealing with these same kinds of things, and that they can come together as part of something bigger than just their little individual piece of art, which is beautiful on its own. But oh my gosh, when you see it all come together, it's just even more beautiful.
The feeling the kids got the moment they received this little piece of paper, with a little astronaut that they had to do a drawing for us, that was like a ticket to space for them. We're going to space. And to me, they would scream, we're going to space, we're going to space.
So each of these suits that we've created has a name. The first one was Hope, the second one was Courage, Unity, Victory, Dreamer, Exploration, and our latest suit is called Beyond. Beyond is the ambassador for Spaceship Earth, and we want every kid that's worked on this spacesuit to know that one of their most important roles is as crewmates here on Spaceship Earth, and for them to understand the simple lessons that we learn when we go to space, like, oh my gosh, we live on a planet. We're all Earthlings. The only border that matters is our thin blue line of atmosphere. And we're hopeful that these lessons become a reality for them very early in their lives, and that they would hopefully carry them forward in their lives as crewmates. We're going to be healthier if our planet is healthier, and kids really get that.
It's something beautiful that everybody should experience, that little sense of that spark of knowledge that they gain in that second. And that's a moment when they are transformed.
And Ian had told me, he's like, these kids who are going through what you hope is the worst thing they will ever have to deal with in their entire lives, pediatric cancer, in a refugee center somewhere, orphanages, places that, you really don't want any child to ever have to be, they will come at you sometimes with the most beyond their years wisdom.
There were families whose kids didn't survive, who had their work go up, and they were able to come to mission control and sit in mission control and see the astronauts wearing their kids' artwork and see that coming back to the world is a kind of spiritual version of space.
Having gathered your strength, a will to win, and all your courage, you, our young artists and dreamers, took up paint and brushes in order to put your innermost dreams about life and happiness on a spacesuit.
I'm painting with this little girl, she's going through cancer treatment. It was amazing to me to watch how when she came into the room, she was really pretty tired. And then we start painting together and talking about space, and she's sitting up straighter. And she just out of nowhere says to me, what you do as an astronaut in space, that must be a lot like what I'm going through here in the hospital. And so I'm just like, oh, well, what do you mean? And she just kept talking and painting. And she's like, yeah, when you're in space, you can't see your family and friends the same way. You can't just go outside anytime you want. I think they're doing all kinds of tests on you. And she's like, and I think you have radiation. You've got this radiation thing that, and I'm like, holy moly. so perfect. I mean, and talk about beyond your years' wisdom. I was just like, you are exactly right.
Our spirits are connected to this universe, and that there's something that I felt like was outside of the norm of the space program that gave this something, a different meaning. And I think a lot of the people who touched it from the space program felt that way.
I knew that this work with these kids, making art spacesuits, making art videos with what they do, and working with them in these settings, I discovered my next mission in life. I knew I had gone to space and done the things that I did there so that I could come and be in that place and doing this work.
See the kids' reaction of the finished product. And then you think it's all worthwhile. That has been my experience throughout this process, working with the Space for Art Foundation.
This is all worth it. There is nothing we could do that would even come close to the trials that these people are going through. And if this helps them, if this helps the kids, and it clearly does, right, then there's nothing we shouldn't be doing.
Wow. Another round of applause. That was incredible and so inspiring. Really, congratulations to everyone who makes this possible. It beautifully showcased the Foundation's profound impact, extending well beyond the Houston area. The reach of the work of transforming thousands of lives through healing and art is truly remarkable. At this time, I'd like to introduce members of the Space for Art Foundation, whose mission is to spread the wonders of space art and healing. Please join me in welcoming, of course, astronaut Nicole Stott. Nicole is an astronaut, aquanaut, artist, author of Back to Earth, What Life in Space Taught Me About Our Home Planet and Our Mission to to Protect It, and most importantly, a mom. Nicole is a veteran NASA astronaut with 2 space flights and spent 104 days living in space and as a crew member on both the International Space Station and the Space Shuttle. Personal highlights of her time in space include being the 10th woman to perform a spacewalk, first person to operate the ISS robotic arm to capture a free-flying cargo vehicle, painting the first watercolor in space on display at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, working with international crew for the benefit of all life on Earth, and of course, life-changing view of our home planet. Nicole was invited to join the Spacesuit art project when it first began in 2015, and since then, it's been an amazing journey of space art and healing. She knows that the time she spent in space has led her to the work she's blessed to do now as founding director of the Space for Art Foundation. Welcome, Nicole. David Graziosi is an ILC Dover fellow located at their Houston operation just across the street from Space Center Houston. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering and minor in Mathematics from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. He has more than 26 years of experience in the development of spacesuits and spacesuit components. David holds 3 U.S. patents that include spacesuit technology and inflatable wing structures. He's authored more than 20 peer-reviewed technical papers on spacesuit development. He also received numerous NASA awards, including the NASA Silver Snoopy Award. After a conversation with Gordy Andrews, NASA ISS Program Communications, and Ian Sion in October of 2015 about Ian's vision for a spacesuit made from the art of pediatric cancer patients, David was all in, as you heard from in the documentary. David, we're so excited to have you here. Welcome. Maria Lanas is the artist and founder of Project Postcard. Maria is an artist, and for the past 20 years has also worked as an executive within the telecom industry. She earned a BFA from Corcoran School of Art and Design. As an artist, her work has exhibited in group shows and solo exhibits around the world. She's the founder of a global art and culture initiative called Project Postcard, as you heard about in the documentary. The mission is to expand children's vision beyond the limits of their own cultural boundaries and to promote unity through art. In 2016, Project Postcard's One World installation at Dulles Airport caught the attention of Nicole Stott, as you saw in the documentary. Maria, we're so excited to have you here as the founding director as well of the Space for Art Foundation. Welcome. So now we're going to have some fun. We're going to dive into some questions with our panelists and hear their comments. Earlier, you scanned the QR code, and we can put that back up again for a moment. If you were inspired, if you have questions, please text those in. And we're going to spend some time talking about that, and then we have a surprise for you in a little while. So stay tuned. I'm going to transition over here to the chair. So I wanted to begin, it's so inspiring. The documentary was absolutely fabulous. And congratulations to everyone who's involved in making this happen. And I wanted to ask, how did you come up with the names of the suits? What was the process? I mean, they're wonderful names, but I'm sure there were many options of things that you could have chosen. Just kind of curious how that came about.
Yeah, great question. I have to think about it. You know, the names themselves, in the end, all of them reflect in some way what we were experiencing with the kids in the different settings, the art, the art programs we were doing with them. I think every one of them, and I say that not just the kids themselves, but their families and just the way you felt in the room with them. And we were thoughtful about it, I think. Gordo was certainly involved with that whole kind of thought process that would go into kind of keeping the theme, if you will. And they just, like in the words of Gordon Andrews, the serendipity, kind of the pennies from heaven stuff, they just kind of came to us too. They just made sense, I think, along the way. And we've tried to maintain that thoughtfulness too as we've gone beyond, and now our latest suit, Infinity, which has its own thing going on. But yeah, I think it was just how we were feeling as we were in those sessions with the kids.
I'm curious, and maybe David, you know this, how many children's artwork are represented in the various suits? Because it seems like there are hundreds of panels in every suit.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a number. I mean, I can tell you there was a lot on Hope, right? It was, and just for reference, these are not just costumes. These started life as real spacesuit patterns for real spacesuit ILC Dover had already built. And if you look at the helmets and whatnot, those are real spacesuit helmets. They might have been the seconds or those kind of things. Fittings on the suit might be 3D printed, but they were real fittings from a real spacesuit in their design. It was really Unity that was the game changer, and I know Gary can attest to this. I mean, Ian basically said, we're going to expand this greatly, right? All the international partners, it's not just local here, so we need a lot more pieces. And I mean, it was 800. I mean, it was a large, so it was, and it was funny because he said, so if we could take the last suit, but if we could break it up into 3-inch by 3-inch triangles and make as many as you can, but still, when you put it all back together, it has the shape of a real spacesuit, right? You don't want to lose that. So that was sort of the challenge in the patterning of it. And then when the making of it, it was what arguably as difficult as a real spacesuit to put together. So, but yeah, so it's a lot. And then if you look at the follow-on suits, it's thousands.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it does. It looks like you can see all of the pieces, and it's so exciting, and they're visually so amazing. So, Maria, I'm curious, with the postcards from space idea, did you think that Nicole was scamming you when you got her Instagram, or did it take long for you to figure out that, oh, this is a real person?
No, I never thought it was a scam. From that picture, it didn't look photoshopped. But, I was really honored that somebody so important would like my work. Really. And then I thought of all the kids that I had been working with. And I said, I can give them this opportunity if I'm brave enough to ask a question. And I asked, I replied, and I said, thank you for liking my work. And, I work with kids from around the world. Is it possible for us to send postcards to space? And it was a very simple question, and, she graciously replied, yes. And our lives changed.
Not that we had any idea how we would do it
No.
at that point, because we'd been, fortunate with the spacesuits, right? Out of the what we call discretionary cargo, I guess, and to go to space station. But we kind of knew that it wouldn't be, we knew at that point, we were like, we can't, we just felt like it wouldn't have been possible to send thousands of physical postcards, but then working with other partners, that this woman just reached out to these people, and you'll see the We Are Stars thing out there. She will not hesitate. I'm very fortunate to work with people who are willing to pick up the phone and make the phone call. And, this group, A Block, who just said, yeah, we can take those postcards and we can create an experience of, these postcards coming out of Earth to space. And then we were able to send a video to space. That's easier than sending stacks of postcards.
And the process, the process of thinking, how are we going to make this possible? We envisioned, the postcards on the solar panels, right? Yeah, we had so many ideas, and the creative process with Nicole was really, and with this A Block company, was really beautiful. And the kids, because a song got incorporated, and the message was, unity. And we did it. And the kids could not imagine that this was possible, so we gave them something.
Well, what's so exciting, it became a movement, I think, and that's so powerful. So one of the questions posed here is, will you be sending a suit on the Artemis program? Will something be going to the moon?
There's people in this audience that we could ask that question. Gordo's got the thumbs up, so, we're kind of the see it, be it people, and I think that's totally possible. I don't know why that would not, we're of the here's how we can, not why we can't approach to things, and so, yes, William, yes, we will be sending.
Stated here at Space Center Houston. Wonderful. Well, I'm curious to also, Maria, about, through the Space for Art Foundation, are you thinking of other projects to help raise awareness through the work of art and artwork? Are there other things that you're all collaborating on?
Well, we're always thinking about that. It's always through making another suit, or sending postcards to space, or, involving kids in just, speeches about how art and space connect.
And it's interesting. I mean, I think about the partnerships with companies like ILC Dover, where, we watch kind of the creativity that's going on with real spacesuits too. And there's always this imagination of, okay, how can we incorporate maybe the art that we're doing into a real spacesuit as well? Some colorful, instead of those boring red and white bands on your leg, why not have like your own personal, or the strap on your, on your mirror, start small and work forward. But we can have those conversations, right? And then, working with other, what we call partners in purpose, I'm looking up at, a friend of ours in the audience, where we can take the mission of the Space for Art Foundation and extend it to these other things we're doing, like wanting people to understand, all of these things that we do in space that are ultimately about improving life on Earth, how they can be a part of that. And, that whole healthy planet, healthy you kind of thing just becomes integral to everything that we're doing.
And for example, I just worked with an organization who helps refugees, and they had classes for teaching the women how to sew. And I learned about them, and I said, you know what? Can you help us sew this little spacesuit? So their kids participated in the art projects, painting, and then the moms sewed the little spacesuits that you'll see outside.
Yeah, there's two little ones hanging behind the big ones.
So the thing is to get, people that would never be involved somehow, get them together, involved, participate. And when you bring awareness to them of what we're doing, and that they're part of this,
They want to be crewmates then. It's really
They become crewmates. And it's fun.
One of the things that I would add that literally just blew me away, and I didn't even quite realize it as we were working through some of these later suits, was the, you look at Hope and Unity. Hope was, and not in a bad way, it's Houston local. Now there is people internationally coming to MD Anderson, right? But it is a very local thing. And then you go Unity, okay, so now it's international partners, and those are very specific countries. And then you go on to the next suits, and suddenly it's 160 plus countries involved, and just literally globally everybody wanting to be part of this and add to it. So it just was amazing to just see it explode.
And it's cool to think about that, because the suit Beyond, that's out there, and you'll notice it's a little different because all of the suits we've done except for Beyond are created from the kids' original artwork that's sewn together. You'll see the real paintings, like the Infinity suit that's out there and the little kid suits. Those are the kids' original art paintings on the fabric. And Beyond, we ended up having to do that during the plague. So we reached out to all of these places, virtually even, or through our people that were in these different countries or connections. And then the kids were able to electronically send us their artwork, and then we could build it out in a totally different way by printing it on the fabric and having these guys work their magic again to create the suit. And so, Ambassador for Spaceship Earth representing, and this was a time where, you weren't just, it's kind of where we shifted our idea of who was participating in the projects too, because every kid everywhere on Earth was thinking about their health in a different way. They were isolated in a way. They were worried about their families. And it's the same way that, some child and their family are dealing in a hospital, everyone was having to, or was feeling that way. And so it was really cool to just be able to reach out kind of en masse across the planet and get the response that we did. I mean, the number of little pieces of art that are printed on that suit, it's extraordinary.
Wow. So I have to put on my Science Center science hat. How are you conserving the suits that have the original artwork on them? Because that is a challenge, right? Over time, exposed to light and humidity and other conditions. I'm just curious. So I'm curious with ILC Dover, is there some kind of special treatment, or how are you helping to conserve them?
Well, what's interesting, and we've done a lot of work with Air and Space over the years, and what we learned many decades ago is honestly in an environment like 70 degrees, 75 degrees, and 70% relative humidity, we're comfortable. Suits are comfortable. The materials are comfortable, and UV is an issue. So when you're not using them, keeping them covered for the most part will make the materials last longer, even the acrylic paints and whatnot. So that helps. But really, refrigerating them and doing other things that folks have done in the past is not a good way to take care of the suits and the materials. And what's interesting along the way is we actually have changed, just like we do on real spacesuits, we've changed the materials that the suits are made out of, and in some cases to be more robust. So, and to Gary's dismay, Unity was a much more robust material. You already had a coated fabric, and then you're painting on it. It was very difficult to sew together. Where if you look at Hope, it's more like normal painter's cloth, right? And
Canvas.
What's that?
Canvas.
Yes, canvas. And then obviously the latest one is even different. It's a.
But you know what? I'm hopeful that the windows in my sunroom turned studio are protected in a way that are keeping those suits safe. They're usually on mannequins in one of our homes or locations, or folded up in a box. We try to get them to as many places as we possibly can. We're really excited to have them here. And you guys were the first ones to host the first 3 suits in a really beautiful exhibit. And I know, it's sad to say, I think you guys probably handled them better than they have been handled since then. But we love getting them out. We want people to be able to touch them too, to experience them and get their picture taken with them. And we try really hard to get the suits back to the places where they were created. And, we've had some limitations in the way we've been able to do that, but we really, really try to be able to get them back to those places.
So there's several questions that have come through asking how can people find out where a suit is on exhibit? Is there a place, is it through the website, through the Space for Art Foundation? How can someone find out where there might be a suit on exhibit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we try when when we were coming here, we tried to let people know, and it's the interweb, the social media or on the website is where we try to do that. And now that we're having these, these screenings a little bit more regularly, we can promote it in a way that lets people know, because we're always going to try to bring the suits with us to those places as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I'm curious, Nicole, if you could talk a little bit about how you say in the documentary to behave like crewmates rather than passengers, and it's kind of metaphorical for living on Earth. What is the message that you hope to convey through that to the general public?
Well, I think it's what, I really feel like this experience of flying in space, I mean, I said it a couple times in the film, like these reality checks of things that are pretty simple, but I think are also compelling on the same hand. And it's powerful to think about the fact that we live on a planet, right? I mean, right now we're sitting in chairs in a theater that's on a planet in space that's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and orbiting the sun at 67,000. I mean, that's pretty awesome to think about. Like, oh my gosh, I live on a planet. I'm an Earthling. And really and truly, only border that matters, that thin blue line of atmosphere. And when you think about that from the standpoint of those, 12 people, I think, right now on the International Space Station, it's like every morning those people wake up and one of the very first things they do is, they do the usual stuff that humans do, but then they're on the radio, they're talking to the ground about, okay, how much carbon dioxide do we have in our atmosphere? How much clean drinking water we have? Integrity of the thin metal hull, health and well-being of all the people that they're sharing that place with, because we know we have to do that. Before you do any of the stuff like the science that you're there for, you have to ensure you're going to survive in that place. And we just accept it. When we're there, we just do it when we're there. And it's exactly the same kind of thing that we should be doing down here on our planetary spaceship. And I know it's orders of magnitude more people and it's a bigger spaceship and all that kind of thing. But as individuals, if we start thinking that way, I think that's what it is. It's an active role, a proactive role in your life, the life around you. And it's a call to action. Being a crewmate is a call to action. It's how can I actively participate with my role here on the spaceship? And that's a very different thing to being a passenger. And I think it's simple, but it's really, really compelling thing to think about too.
That's fantastic. Well, I wanted to ask you, you responded, but I'm curious with David and Maria, what are one of the kind of big takeaways you have from having participated in the spacesuit and the Space for Art program? Is there some kind of big insight that you've had or new perspective you gained through your participation?
I'll jump in. So I'll have to, for me, Gordon, we've talked about it. It is life altering, right? And I can look in the audience and go like, there's probably, it's a shame to say this, probably nobody here who hasn't had a family member, a friend with cancer, right? And but usually it's an older person, right? When you go into MD Anderson, these other places, and see that with children, right, it is life-altering. You realize what's important and what's not important, and just the mission of what needs to be done. And for me, the revelation was how much healing there is in art, right? So my first trip to in this program, it was a teenage girl, Lily Curry, right, who's no longer with us. And she was wheeled in, and I think it was Unity. And, it was my first time meeting with the kids. And I looked at her and I was like, she's not going to be able to do anything. And I looked at Nicole and I said, what should I do? And she's like, give her a piece of art and give her some paints and get going. And as soon as she had the stuff in front of her, she literally lit up, just was energized and started working. And is talking to me and interacting, and I'm going to make a constellation. Which constellation? I'm going to do the Big Dipper, and we're going to, and it was just night and day. And then you think of like the small world. So ends up Lily's from my hometown, but here in Houston, trying to be healed. We have friends that are mutual friends, right? That we just didn't even realize. So there is, this thing, the spaceship Earth, and we're all here together, and how a very small world. It is oftentimes, right? So it's just understanding what's, we just get caught up in daily life and what is important and what really isn't. And for me, that's working on this program, and especially seeing what these kids, the challenges and what they overcome, and sometimes not, right? And what the families go through is humbling.
It is. It is humbling, and it puts everything into perspective, right? And when I've worked with the little kids, and you connect, the space and their place, when they realize their place in the universe, it's at that moment, it's life-changing for them and for you because you witness that. That moment of, that's my home. And nothing else matters. It doesn't matter that they're sick. You forget everything. So in that moment, you go with, you are with them in that moment of, and then you go home happy. And that feeling it's, I think everybody should try to have it. I found my purpose through this foundation, thanks to that Instagram tag. Yeah.
Wow, that is wonderful. Well, I have to say, I always say that we in the space business, and I include Space Center Houston, that we're in the business of awe and wonder. Because as human beings, we've always looked to the stars for inspiration, for meaning, for guidance, to know when to cross a body of water, to navigate ourselves, to know when to plant seeds and grow crops and harvest. And I think that's why it's so special. And so you're actually giving these kids access to the stars. They're actually reaching the stars and feeling they're communing in a way with space. So thank you all so much for your phenomenal comments. Let's give them all a round of applause for the incredible work that they're doing. So as I teased, we're up for a very special treat that David is going to guide for us. And speaking of going to space, it is one of the most dangerous things that we do as human beings. And so we actually have to protect ourselves. We have to find a way. And of course, we've talked about the Space for Art suits, but the real suits created by ILC Dover are critical to keep us not only surviving, but thriving and being able to explore space. So David has actually arranged a very special experience for this evening. And so thank you. I'm going to turn the microphone over to him to lead the next part of our program this evening. David.
Okay. Guess we can go ahead, if the guys can hear me, and go ahead and bring the suits out. So what we're going to show you this evening is just a short demo of our latest advanced spacesuits. So this is what we call our Astro spacesuit. So it is, obviously here, it's the picture here on the end. This just shows you a bit of the highlights of the really decades of research and development that led to these two suits. So it is the same suit. It is a small version and a large version. I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the architecture of these suits. So clearly they're a walking suit, but they're also designed so you could do zero-G, what we do up on the ISS. Right now, our subjects, we have two of our engineers from ILC Dover, Kayla Daniels and Jim DeSabato, in the suits. You can see they are strikingly different in size. And to put it in perspective for those that do work within the space program, understand spacesuits, what Kayla is in the upper torso is smaller than the smallest spacesuit ever been designed for working on the International Space Station, right? And the centerpiece of this suit is a changeable upper torso. We call a morphing upper torso or a hybrid upper torso. So it allows us with just two sizes to fit a complete population. In our world, in the spacesuit world, it's the 1st to 99th percentile from males to females. And you're not seeing the complete extremes, but very close to it in these two suits. Right now, the suits are pressurized to 4.3 psi, which is what the ISS suit that built the station operates at. This suit can actually operate at about twice that if we wanted it to. We're just not going to do that tonight. Obviously, very mobile, multiple bearings, hip and leg bearings, shoulder bearing, arm bearing, wrist bearing, and then mobility joints in between that allow you to have the flexibility to do what they're doing. They also have a lot of advanced materials built into these suits, which makes them lighter. So this is obviously more mobile than the suit that's up on station. It's as strong, yet it's significantly lighter. So with that, we'll let you see some of the mobility of the suit, and we'll just sort of start helmet to boots. So this is a new helmet system. Obviously, that's a real sun visor, same coating that we have on the current ISS helmet. Obviously, there's side and center shades that allow you to protect yourself from a solar event. The interesting piece of this helmet is it has a complete protective bubble, so think more lunar Artemis related, to keep the dust out and protect all those layers underneath, and to take the impacts no matter where they come and protect all the critical layers underneath. We can move down to the upper torso. And like I said, there is multiple rotary bearings and advanced mobility joints. And again, gives you the flexibility. And again, you got to keep in mind, there's no tethers here that are lifting them up and weight relieving them. They're doing this in 1G, and yet still, very mobile. It is good to get the perspective of both suits being able to do this together, so we thought a little synchronization would be fun. If we move down, so one thing I didn't say is this is a waist entry suit, just like the EMU. So you enter and exit here from the middle of the suit. But the earlier version, and if you went outside to the Artemis area, you'll see an upper torso that looks identical to that one, because it is. And so we actually did rear entry first. These two suits are waist entry, so we can move back and forth. And there's reasons for rear entry and there's reasons for waist entry, and we could spend an hour or so just talking about that. But these are waist entry. So from a lower torso mobility standpoint, you'll get to see, obviously, a waist joint that allows them to flex forward and aft. There is no waist rotary bearing, but believe it or not, just the bearings in the hips and the leg give you very similar mobility, but save weight, save maintenance, save cost, and all those good things. Yeah, there we go. The interesting, with these suits, this architecture, you can often find a squat position that almost turns the suit into a seat, and you can sit and relax for a little bit, which is a nice feature. So I think the next thing we're going to do is show a little bit more of the actual walking mobility and get them moving. All right. I think we'll do one final demonstration here. I'll go ahead and take it. So the suits that they're wearing right now, about 100 pounds, right? Which is less than the current EMU, yet obviously much more mobile. Now, obviously, the backpacks are just volumetric mock-ups, but the helmet to boots is real suit. Full structural analysis, meets all the requirements. It's not a costume. What I'd love to show you that we really couldn't do tonight, given the time and other constraints, is this is just like a small sampling. What people don't realize is in a suit like this, literally, when you see these suits up here, that suit up in the corner, the previous generations of this suit, we literally got on ATVs and went riding. We climb ladders and jump off of them. We do all sorts of things that are crazy, much more, and all in 1G, right? And so, these suits really are very, very mobile, is the answer there. So what we're going to do, since we don't have a lot of time tonight, is we're going to let them go back. We're going to let them take a little break. We're going to finish up the evening here. We're going to do our awards. And then at the end, when everybody's released, you're welcome to go outside and see some of the Space for Art exhibits. For those who want an up-close personal picture, more interactive question and answer, we're going to actually repressurize them, bring them back out, and folks can get a closer view. And I think that's sort of, maybe for 15, 20 minutes after we end the main event here. So if you guys want to go on back. All right. And I think we need to get Nicole back here. We're going to go ahead and do a presentation of some awards, gifts, thank yous. I don't know that we really said it that much, but we've been at this for right at 9 years. I think we mentioned that early 2015, and both NASA, ILC Dover, Space Center Houston, I get to wear 2 hats, right? ILC Dover and Space for Art Foundation. But it's been just a continuous partnership and just an amazing, I don't want to take your words, but just a lot of collaboration and just things that we never thought we'd be able to do, let alone flying, some suits to the ISS. So just a small thank you that we're going to do here for just dedication over many, many years.
Thank you, David. Wasn't that awesome? I'm sorry, but that was super cool. Don't you want to be in the suit doing it, right? All right. So, we hope you can tell from the film and the conversation this evening that we are grateful. And as a dear friend of ours, Christina Korp, who's here tonight, coined the term, and we mentioned it before, partners in purpose. And we're here tonight to give thanks to our partners in purpose. The first organization we'd like to call out are, the Johnson Space Center and the ISS Program Communications Group. I'm going to have Dylan Mathis and Gordon Andrews come up here. And one of the main reasons that we are so happy to be back in Houston for this screening is because what the Space for Art Foundation is all about started here. It started with introductions between people at the Johnson Space Center who are creative and innovative and committed to the ISS mission that is off the Earth for the Earth, a mission that brings the work in space back to Earth in the most meaningful ways. And one of those ways has been through projects like the Space Suit Art Project, the Space for Art Foundation, and all of the awesomeness that has grown from it. Work with purpose at heart, and the heart of the Spacesuit Art Project has always beat in the Earthling who is Gordon Andrews. We are ginormously thankful for our start here and for the continued support that we receive from the leadership at JSC and most specifically to the ISS communications team. So we'd like to present this first award to Gordon and Dylan in honor of all the supporters at Johnson Space Center. And we thank you for being awesome crewmates. All right, let's find the first one there. And I don't know if you've seen our logo or not, but does this not perfectly? And I don't know, we got to get a picture somewhere, so somehow. Where are you? Here, let's move. Come here. These 2 people are awesome. All right, you gonna get it? Got it? You see, we planned that part out. All right, my friends. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm hugging you. Awesome. Thank you. Put it someplace nice. All right, the next, you might, so our ILC Dover friends. I'm going to call David back up here, and also my new friend, Rob Reed, who is the president of ILC Dover. I can't believe we just met in person tonight. One of the most important introductions that has happened at the Johnson Space Center when spacesuits became the desired subject for the kids' artwork was with the folks at the spacesuit company. I'll just say it even in the spacesuit company, ILC Dover. As you saw in the film, Dave Graziosi has been the guiding spirit behind the very generous and talented support of the entire team at ILC, including people like Gary Chilson, who is sitting 3 rows up and looking around right now. And Gary, I can tell you, took a very personal pride in the quilting together of the kids' artwork into these stunning art spacesuits. And most definitely, you know, the ILC Dover leadership team, we thank you, who have seen the power really in uniting the inspiration of space and the kids' artwork into these suits, and we are grateful. We'd like to present this award to Rob and to Dave of ILC Dover in honor of the entire ILC Dover team, and we thank you for being awesome crewmates. See, look how much it looks like our... All right, awesome. There's Natalie too. She's at work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, David. All right. And finally, to our friends at Space Center Houston. So being here, and I'll call William to the stage again, please. Being here, you know, not just in Houston, but at Space Center Houston, in celebration of the Space for Art story is significant. The team here at Space Center Houston has been on this mission of space, art, and healing since the very beginning. This is the place where our best storytelling got its start, and you can see the joy in this picture, I hope. We are grateful to be back here tonight to bring the story to life through the film on this big screen. And in honor of the entire Space Center Houston team, we present this award to William, and we thank you for being awesome crewmates. You got it? Yes. You got the award. Yes. All right. Awesome. All right. I'm going to get you back here in a second. But I'll say the other thing I want to do, you know, I want to give a shout out to all the kids who and their families who participated in the Space for Art project. That's what it's all about. I hope, you know, the pictures that were rotating on the screen, looping tonight. I hope you took the time to look in their eyes a little bit and to appreciate, joy is a word that comes up to me a lot when I think about these projects. And I hope you saw it in those pictures. So we want to thank all of the kids and their families who have participated in the Space for Art projects. 2 very special kids. I know at least one is here. I don't know. David, are you here? I don't know if you made it or not. I don't know. Maybe not. But anyway, so we have, I'm just going to I got to shout it out to Mia, who is in the audience, waving her hand up there, about to graduate high school. Oh my goodness. You saw her picture tonight on the screen multiple times. She sang wrote one of the most touching, incredible songs that I have ever heard through this whole experience. It was part of one of our videos. She sang it when we were in mission control to the crew on board the station. You didn't leave a dry eye, Mia, that is for sure. We're very grateful that you are here as an adult, as a young woman tonight. And we are grateful for Mia and David. I'd like to ask you all, this picture was taken 7 years ago. If anyone is here that was in that picture 7 years ago, just give us a wave or a shout or something. I know there's a lot of you. So we are grateful for you guys as well. I hope we get some kind of picture like this tonight where we can, 7 years from now or less, come back. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you all for being awesome crewmates.
Thank you, Nicole. What an inspiring evening. Again, I want to give heartfelt thanks to Mike Potter, to Dave Graziosi, to Maria Lanas, and Nicole Stott. Thank you all for the incredible leadership and your dedication to helping bring our planet together and really creating better lives for everyone. Let's give them all another round of applause. Well, this concludes our Thought Leader program this evening, Space for Art. We're so delighted that you all have joined us this evening, and we hope that you'll come back again for future programs here at Space Center Houston. And as you heard, please stop outside in the Artemis Gallery and see the beautiful suits that are on exhibit this evening. Thank you for being here and have a great rest of the evening.